Back in here on GCR as we continue along here on a Monday edition of the program. And this year marks the 150th running of the Preakness. And a really cool event that's going to be surrounding the Preakness this year, Preakness Festival. Joining us now to tell us a little bit more about it, a couple of people, one who we've known for a long time, the other who we're getting the first opportunity to chat with. Let's first welcome in, no offense, Terry, but, this is the First Lady of the state. Let's first welcome in First Lady Dawn Moore, who is with us here on GCR. Dawn, it's Glenn. It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Oh, Glenn, thank you so much for giving us the time and the opportunity.
I know that you really had a lot to do with this. A lot of times we talk to somebody and let's be honest, they're like a figurehead. But I know from conversations that I've had that this was something that you were very passionate about and you threw yourself behind. Why was this something that was so important to you in your role now as First Lady?
Well, first of all, in the Moore household, everybody has to have a job. So no one can sit around and do nothing. But second of all, and honestly, first of all, when Wes and I went to the Kentucky Derby as a guest of governor of the governor and first lady there when he was governor elect, I was
Yeah.
wowed by the cultural and entertainment experience taking place in addition to all of the wonderful pomp and circumstance and horse racing taking place at the Kentucky Derby, the first leg of the Triple Crown. And I had been going to Preakness for many, many years. And I said to Wes, we can do this in Maryland and we should do this in Maryland. And he said, well, go do it. And so we pulled together a tremendous team and to include Terry, who's on here of the sports corps. I hear you're going to have David Rubenstein on as a guest. He's one of our co-chairs. We've got Mike Henkin from Brown Advisory and Exelon, Calvin Butler. So a lot of wonderful business leaders have come together. Community leaders, state partners, city partners have come together in the spirit of partnership to make this happen.
I think it's incredible, and I'm with you, First Lady. I've been to the Kentucky Derby 3 times in my life, and I've always had the same feeling that you did. Like, boy, this is cool. This is what I want this event to be. With that in mind, let's also bring in our friend Terry Hasseltine, Executive Director of Maryland Sports. So, Terry, from the First Lady's idea, how does this go to then becoming an event? What are the steps in between that make this happen, that we're going to have the first ever full Preakness Festival this year?
Well, first you have to have the generation of the idea, which the first lady had from her return from the Kentucky Derby. Second of all, you have to assemble a team, and between the first lady, Christian Johansson, the leadership of the governor and the mayor of Baltimore, basically tasking us to put together the team that can really bring this to fruition. And with the first lady's leadership, we've been able to assemble, key business leaders across the state, key volunteers, and people who just want to see the same vision come to life. So we've been orchestrating through the Sport and Entertainment Corporation of Maryland, along with the First Lady and leadership of the city, to create a committee structure so that we can evaluate events and opportunities, as well as finding those systematic things that can grow and foster over the course of time. And so what we've done in the very short order since the announcement back in December is assemble that team and really bring it to life. And you just saw this last week. We announced the tentpole events, in which the First Lady will probably talk about here in a little bit, but we've also been able to make sure that key stakeholders have been involved from the get-go, everything from city leadership to state leadership to the business community and anybody who thinks the Preakness is super cool. So the team is assembled. The execution is starting to occur. You're starting to see momentum build and grow. And over the next month or so, you're going to see even more momentum and more energy grow. And then this thing is supposed to be sustainable over the course of time. This isn't about just getting through 150. It's about getting 150 and beyond. And with the leadership that we've assembled on this team, we've been able to create vision of how we're going to get to 150, 151, 152, and then carry this on so your kids and my kids can see this be a generational thing that happens in Maryland every single year.
Yeah, that's just what they're used to at that point. Dawn, with that in mind, if you would, so what will this first ever Preakness Festival look like?
Oh, it's going to be so exciting because right now the Preakness generates a $40 million economic impact. The Derby generates $400 million. And why are they able to do that? Is because they have events leading up to the races, to the Derby. And so what we've done, we've established either in partnership or things that we've created on our own, is a week of events starting out May 10th at George Spider Anderson Park in Park Heights, a community where the Preakness has taken place. As we know, there's a rich history in Park Heights. There's also a history of not always being included in what has taken place in the Preakness. And we appreciate the Park Heights community so much. They've been having festivals and teaching about the history of George Spider Anderson, the first Black jockey to win the Preakness, who still holds the record to this day. So we are co-branding an event with them. We want everybody to come out to this free event. And then we have the Governor's Golf tournament that is taking place in Baltimore County. Then we move to a concert at Pier 6 Pavilion, which is on that Wednesday. And DJ D Nice is coming with his friends. He's playing with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. We're going to have a great party with him, with the backdrop of our beautiful harbor. Then we have a fundraiser for the sports corps here at Government House. And then we roll right into the Black Eyed Susan and the Preakness races. So we want everybody to go to preaknessfestival.com to find out how you can get tickets, to find out how you can be involved with all of the events we have leading up to the Preakness Stakes.
It's wonderful, and I think that the best part is that there's a little bit of free, there's a little bit of there's an opportunity, Terry, for everyone in the region to have a touch on what's going on with the Preakness Festival.
Absolutely. And that was, designed by strategy to make sure that everybody across the state feels they can connect. Everybody within the greater Baltimore community feels like they connect. And then as we grow and continue to build this portfolio, then our guests will start to be able to connect, and tourists will come in and they'll see this as a bucket list event, come the course of time. But really at the beginning of it, we had to make sure there was an engagement of all stakeholders and make sure there's engagement of all citizens of the state of Maryland and the residents of Baltimore to feel like they really had a chance to get involved. And whether that's through the free events that are part of this, our co-branded events, which we're connecting to as a part of this process as well. And then through the obviously the raising funds for the future events, we want to make sure that everybody feels they can connect. And I think through the vision of the leadership team, we've been able to establish a good foundation of activities that will lead to the future.
Terry Hasseltine, First Lady Dawn Moore with us here on GCR. Dawn, if I could, is the idea in your mind that this is the start, and then now that we've done it, this gets even bigger and bigger as the years go on?
You nailed it, Glenn. I say we are the real startup, right? And so we have tremendous partners here who are going to really help us to make this great. I think Terry says it best. We have so many stakeholders that have already stepped up to be able to be a part of our rich history in Maryland. Our equestrian history is a $3 billion economic impact generator unto itself.
Yeah.
And it provides 28,000 jobs. So Preakness is more than a race, right? It is about the magic of Maryland and all of those things that make Maryland magical. And so we just want your listeners to be as excited as we are about it, to figure out how they can get involved. At the end of the day, I want a couple things to happen. I want us to generate significant economic impact. I want us to create authentic communities with, and relationships with one another. I think that's what really keeps these things going. And I want people to say, no matter what they participated in, I went to the Preakness.
And then Terry, is it? Can we also make something of the timing that, like, hey, there is a re-envisioned Pimlico coming, and that we want to start making the celebration even bigger for what the future of Preakness is going to be here in a couple of years in Baltimore?
Absolutely. The impetus behind this is the state's making a huge investment of over $400 million into Pimlico and the future training site for racing here in the state of Maryland, and making sure that we equal that challenge through the festival to ensure that the energy, the synergies, and the like grow hand in hand, so that when 152 comes along and the full transition over to the state is there, we want to make sure the festival is in lockstep with it so that we can maximize, as the First Lady said, Kentucky Derby's doing about 400 mil in economic impact, and we're doing about 40 currently. And part of that transition is we're making our time to enjoy and celebrate the festival longer than just a day and a half to 2 days of the Black Eyed Susan and Preakness alone. So yes, our goal is to go in tandem with the growth of the return of Pimlico in 152 and ensure that the festival is right there in lockstep with it.
Dawn, am I wrong? Like, it feels like there's an almost unspoken part of this where I can think I'll give you my background. My wife has family in Louisville, and so when we were dating, they use the Derby as like hey, we want to see you come down this week, and we made it a regular thing. It almost feels like this is an announcement of, hey, we want you to be visiting the state of Maryland this week. We want you to be planning on it. We want to make this a tent pole that if there's a time to come to Maryland, this is the time to come, is the weeks leading up to the Preakness.
But I would need you to be the permanent spokesperson for the weeks leading up to the Preakness, because you have absolutely nailed it. We want people to, as I said, this is about building community as well, and building community in Maryland, but building community outside of Maryland and having people come into town for it. I want people to block off their calendars and say that I'm coming to Maryland for the Preakness Festival and the Preakness Stakes. Come stay in our fabulous hotels. Come stay in our wonderful Baltimore City. Come stay and eat in our wonderful restaurants. Do all the things that you would do when you want to go on vacation. Consider this a part of it. Listen, I can't, knock the Derby. They do an absolutely amazing job. But I would say we have better assets and better opportunity in Maryland. And I want people to take advantage of that.
Look, I enjoy some fried green tomatoes when I make the trip to Louisville, but there is no doubt that the culinary experience is far greater here than it is in Kentucky. So I'm with, and it's very authentic from me. Like, this makes all the sense in the world, and I am appreciative of this effort to say this is the time, let's surround the thing that we have. This is ours. Let's showcase it. It seems like maybe something that was a little overdue, but that's a conversation for another day. Let's make sure we remind everybody. I know it's preaknessfestival.com, right, Dawn? That's the website, correct?
That's correct. Preaknessfestival.com. We're starting out May 10th. And the festival goes to May 15th, and then we roll right into the Preakness Stakes.
And are the tickets already available for the ticketed events?
So the concert will be going on sale very soon. Okay. So I ask people to sign up, on the website, because we will let you know as soon as those tickets go on sale. People are very excited. They're texting, they're calling, and they're asking. So we're directing them to the website, and we will send out the link to be able to purchase the tickets once all of that is finalized.
I love it. I think it's great, and can't wait to see how this continues to grow and touches more and more people in the region and throughout the state. Terry Hasseltine, always appreciate you. Miss First Lady, a wonderful opportunity to meet you and appreciate the work that you're putting into this. Thank you both so much for spending some time with us this morning. Let's chat again real soon, all right?
Look forward to it. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you so much, Glenn.
Thank you. First Lady of the State of Maryland, Dawn Moore, and Terry Hasseltine, Executive Director of Maryland Sports, with us here on GCR. And